Halloween. I don't know about you guys, but growing up, this used to be my favorite time of the year. Dressing up with the boys, well, barely. Me and the boys would just put anything that could be seen as a costume so we could get some candies without anybody asking questions. Trick or treat! What is your costume supposed to be, young mister? I'm dressed as, just put the candies in the bag, bro. Anyways, this is why I wanted to make this quick video going over the history of Dokkan Halloween celebrations. And even though I won't go as much in details as in my history videos, there will still be a lot to say, so enjoy. You'll be actually surprised, but both versions got their first ever Halloween celebration at the same exact time back in 2017. But as the games were not synced at the time, the celebration were, as you guessed it, very different. While on JP, they got the new category leader, Physical Super Vegito. On Global, they had Tech LR Zamasu and Rose, who were, from what I remember, a way better unit at the time. But like I said earlier, we'll go into the details of the units in due time in the history series. Both versions got your typical login bonus campaigns and a new free play unit, Candy Vegito, who was, without going into too much details, a phenomenal free play unit at the time. He could dodge and stun, which was all you needed at the time really to be seen as a good free play unit. Surprisingly, that was pretty much it for the JV celebration. Literally just a new Super Vegito and a new free play unit. But on Global, the celebration was actually much better. They brought back the Fusion banner with two new Fusions characters, with one of them being Weirus, who was actually like an insanely valuable unit. Probably not as much at the time of his release, but as you guys already know, thanks to his double orb changing ability, this guy value just went up with time. They also finally introduced the category leader skills into the game. No more to be announced leader skills. Like, this alone might have made the celebration the best of their year, bro. Like, you were finally able to use category leaders. It only took them 2 months, which is crazy, but that's a story for another day. The following year, JP got AGL Metal Cooler, who was not only a great unit, but the first unit with like very good animations. Like, super attack animations started being amazing with this Metal Cooler. Like, now you might look at those animations and think, yeah, they were not that good, but trust me, at the time they were insane. I still remember seeing his animation for the first time, and even though I wasn't a fan of Cooler, I was like, bro, I have to summon for that guy when he comes to Global. Like, what are those animations? Like, for me, those were the best animations in the game, and by far at the time, by far. Talking about Global, we had AGL Blue Vegeta, who was just the character you wanted to summon for if you were a free-to-play player, since he had by far the most versatile leader skill in the game. He led Pure Saiyans, and yeah, that career was just as good back then than it is now, if not better. So best believe that I summoned like crazy for that guy, and I actually did manage to pull him. Just what a hit of dopamine it was, bro. Because not only was this guy good, he was a transforming unit, and those were just so cool at the time. I could hear like his theme from the anime in my head every single time he transformed. Good times, good times. As for the celebrations themselves, it just had your typical login bonus campaign and missions, as well as new Halloween cards, which that year was Gotenks and Ghosts. That unit was so good in so many different ways. First off, he had a unique name, meaning you could run him alongside physical Gotenks, who was still a very decent utility unit at the time. He could stun on Super, was a Rainbow Orb Changer, and could also heal per Rainbow Key Spheres obtained. Thanks to this guy, a lot of people were finally able to beat the Fusion Super Battle Road stage on JP, which was one of the hardest Super Battle Road stage at the time, mainly because of how limited that category was. And for the global players, well, you at least got a good Fusion filler unit before the arrival of those 10 stages in December. The next year, JP got another cooler, who was even better than his 2018 counterpart on release. If you were there, you just know how good that guy was, and if you weren't, then you probably already heard all about it. Crazy leader skill, crazy support, crazy transformation, crazy animations, crazy link set, and a lot of decent categories. That guy was just a beast, and exactly what the extreme class needed at the time. While on the other hand, Global got nothing actually. Global had no end of October to confess that year. We didn't really understand why at the time, but it was probably because they dropped Zamasu and Trunks at the beginning of November. Nonetheless, the Halloween card that year was AGL Great Saiyan and Kid Trunks, who was actually exactly what we needed at the time, because this was during the Legendary Goku event meta, and this guy was a stacker with built-in additionals and crit chance. Like everything you could wish for from a stacker, let alone a free-to-play unit. So yeah, he was good. And if I remember that correctly, it's thanks to this guy that G-Fanta managed to actually finally beat the Legendary Goku event for the first time with a free-to-play only team.
God, this in the brain. Sorry, D3, not today, but there it is. Oh man, thank you guys for coming to the stream. I knew it. I knew today was a good day.
Ah, the memories, bro. But the crazy thing is that they also gave Dokkan Awakenings to the past Halloween units. And let me tell you, they were good, very good. Candy Vegito now had a 70% chance to dodge, could stack on super, and gain defense per key spheres obtained. So yeah, he was a GOAT on both the Legendary Goku event and Super Battle Road. While more so Super Battle Road, since the last stage of the Legendary Goku event disabled dodge and was int, but he was still runnable and a decent option nonetheless. Super Saiyan Gotenks and Ghost was not so good in the Legendary Goku event, but was phenomenal in SVR. He had a 50% chance of turning on super, could Rainbow Orb change, and could also tank with some Rainbow Key Spheres post super, which was a very impressive thing at the time, especially for a free to play unit. Like bro, those SVR stages were hitting hard. The following year was actually crazy on JP. They just casually dropped a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta as a random Dokkan Fest. And let me tell you, that guy was good. He was just an upgraded version of his tech counterpart. Like sure, he had a 50% chance to dodge and counter super attacks, which was lower than Tech Gogeta's 70%, but everything else was just miles better. He also introduced the Giant A power category, which was pretty much just the Super Saiyan 4 category that everybody was asking and waiting for. Global on the other side got an actual Halloween banner. Outside of AGL Bardock and maybe transforming Vegeta, the other featured units were actually quite decent, but I remember clearly at the time that because of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta coming a little bit out of nowhere, people were speculating that the Hero Celebration that year would bring the heroes Super Saiyan 4s, including Super Saiyan 4 Vegito, and that's why they released a Dokkan Fest Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, so that they could introduce the Super Saiyan 4 category so you could at least have a decent team to run these guys on. The Halloween free-to-play unit that year was a Grandpa Gohan and Pan. Like, they weren't bad per se, but definitely not anywhere near as good as the units from the previous year, at least relatively to their time of release. Like, this new unit couldn't really help you out anywhere, opposed to the other units who were insanely helpful in things like Super Battle Road or the Legendary Goku event. But they did easy Candy Vegito and Id Gotenks and Ghost. Like sure, they barely gave them anything for their easies, but it was still good enough so that you could bring them into Extreme SVR, well, at least Gotenks and Ghost. Without him, I would have never beaten the Extreme Super Battle Road fusion stage. That stage was tough, bro.
So I guess I should talk about that in Gotenks and Ghost. So that unit is really good, creates Rainbow Orbs, then heals a large amount of health per Rainbow Orb, right? And it is a nuking unit, Gotenks and Ghost. So the more orbs we get them, the better offensively they are, defensively they are, and then, you know, with Rainbow Orbs, they get, I believe, 30% attack and defense, and then also healing. This Gotenks and Ghost, I would say, is the second most important unit.
2021, also known as the Year of Fumbles, had one of the biggest fumbles in Dokkan history. If you're new here or just didn't know, I'm a huge Future Saga fan, so I had big expectations for that Trunks Dokkan Fest. Even before we knew anything about him, he was one of my most wanted Dokkan Fest. Like that moment in Z where Trunks appears and cuts Frieza in half like he's nothing, like bro, Frieza at the time he was like the strongest villain we've seen so far, and we were told that he came back even stronger, and Trunks just killed him like he was nothing, just to then tell us that Frieza is literally like an ant compared to the enemies that he's facing in the future. Bro, as a kid, this was just absolute peak. Like, I still get goosebumps just thinking about that moment. And then this guy came into Dokkan, and he was just absolute garbage. Like, how can a unit be better in base than transform? When the transformation is what you want to play with, like, nobody would have summoned for a base Trunks. So why did they not only make his transformation completely useless in the current content that the game had to offer, his transforming condition was just bad enough so that you literally just wouldn't be able to use that guy anywhere. Like bro, if they just made it so that you could transform on turn 3 with him, he could have been at least decent in SBR with some RNG, you know? But now he was just completely useless. Like that unit was just a base Trunks. That wasn't even that good. Like this guy, at least for me, is by far the most disappointing unit Dokkan has ever released. Like that was just an L. But that was on JP. On Global, we got another Halloween banner full of surprises. Like the featured characters were good, but the biggest surprise was that Broly wasn't featured on the banner. Since AGL Bardock was featured on the previous banner, people expected Broly to return on this banner too. But no, he didn't. I think we literally had to wait almost a year for this guy to actually come back on Global and on the step up banner out of all banners. Like bro, that was crazy. And when I tell you 2021 was the year of fumbles, I'm not joking. On global, we also got the easy of int LR Super Strength to Gohan during that celebration, and you already know the history. The all he needs is defense statement couldn't have been farther from the truth. His defense was fine, but they literally didn't touch his offense like at all. Like, bro, I know this guy was ahead of his time, but he was still a unit from 2017. Like, you can't do that. You can't just not give any more attack to like a 2017 unit. Like, bro, we're in 2021, like 4 years later, and they just didn't give him any more attack. Like, that's just crazy to me. Anyways, for the Halloween first play unit, well, they had guard and damage reduction, but as SSRs, their stats were pretty low, so nothing would actually bring into ESBR or the God event. At least they had like a very good base kit, so we already knew that their future Easy had the potential to be very good. As for the Easies, they were okay, I guess, but by that point, those units were just not that meta relevant anymore, and it only got worse with the 7th year anniversary power creep. In 2022, it was clear now that the Halloween celebration was not like a main thing anymore, and more of just like a little campaign on the side, at least on JP. The main campaign was the Overflow in Power campaign, introducing a new Dokkan Fest tech Bardock, but it's not really related to Halloween, so we're just going to skip that part. The Halloween campaign per se just brought a new free play unit, and the easier for the previous year Halloween free play card, at least on JP. On global, we got like a little bit more stuff, as you'll see. The free play card was an Angel Dabura with a unit super attack, which was cool, I guess. As for his kit, well, it was after the 7th year anniversary power creep, so pretty much useless. But on the bright side, you could farm physical type candy canes and his story event, the best training item for those that don't know. And by looking at my training items, I did farm quite a lot of these at the time, because we didn't know when was the next time the event was coming back and if they were going to keep the candy canes in it. So yeah, I had to farm those, As for the easy, well, as you guessed it, they were very good, but unfortunately they only had 2 categories, and none of those had a 200% leader at the time. Well, at least one that would fit them. Like, you weren't going to run them on the Super Saiyan Zoo team, So yeah, that was pretty much it on JP. I guess they also had the Super Strike revamp of AGL Paikuhan, but that's not really something worth going over. On the other hand, on Global, we got some pretty cool Halloween packs, and the return of the Halloween banner, which was honestly not the greatest banner. Like, 4 out of the 4 units were just completely fodder. Like, maybe with some dupes, Tech, Kale, and Cauliflower still usable, but that was pretty much it. All you really wanted from this banner was those 3 200% leaders, if you didn't have them, obviously. Now we get to the last year. The Dokkan Fest on JP was Kid, Gohan, and Piccolo from the Saiyan saga. But did those guys really came last year? I already completely forgot about them. Like, that's crazy. Like, is this the most forgettable Dokkan Fest from 2023? Honestly, it just might be. But yeah, they were decent. I just never pulled them, so I don't really have much to say about them. But from what I saw, they were honestly pretty good. As for the free-to-play unit that year, it was an Oolong and Lunch, who should actually easy it this year. And by looking at their kit, they do have some potential. Obviously, they were useless on release, but their easier could make them very good.
Psych!
Another thing worth pointing out is that you could farm tech-type candy canes on their event. So if I were to guess, in this year's event, we should be able to farm strength-type candy canes.
Wrong.
As for Dabra's easy, bro, honestly, it's just not even worth going over. I never used that guy, like, ever. Literally ever. Global also got some new packs alongside a new Halloween banner, which was a step up banner that year. For 105 stones, you could potentially get one of the LR View fusions or a 200% leader. So I guess it was maybe worth it if you were also missing some of the old Dokkan Fest that were also featured on the banner, just in case they, like, easy it. But otherwise, yeah, that banner was just bait for, like, limit breaker specific for Vegeta who was coming, but yeah, probably. Now, I don't know when this video will be out, but I'm recording this on October 15th, so I have no idea who the October Dokkan Fest is going to be or what the Halloween banner will look like on Global. But my guess, Tech Vegeta is probably returning on that Halloween banner, and people will summon just for him. And as for the October Dokkan Fest, it could honestly be anything. I'll go with a safe bet, Goku. But honestly, I could see something like Chaozu or something Saiyan Saga related, just like last year. Nonetheless, let me know what you guys think of this type of video. If you guys liked it, I might actually do one for Heroes or Christmas alongside the regular history videos. But until then, take care and happy Halloween if you're still going out trick-or-treating.